Okay, looking at this first example, now let me explain what I want you to do. Either put this on the worksheet or set a sheet of paper. Make sure that you know every step. This is somewhat complicated, but once you understand it, the first step is the hardest step, the rest is easy. Okay? So this very first one in monomials, we're going to group numbers together. Okay? So we're going to put 5 and 4 in parentheses. Go ahead and do that, please. Then when we're done with that, we're going to group our x's, x2 and x3. Is there any questions so far? I grouped the numbers, I grouped the variables. Now let me explain. You know how adding and subtracting, how we put all the variables together in standard form? Now, it doesn't matter. All x's go with x's, all b's go with b's, and so on. It doesn't matter what their powers are. Is that clear? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and solve this problem. 5 times 4 is 20, and then we're going to add these. 2 and 3, x5. We're done with this problem. Any question? You want to read writing the steps out as we go? And make sure that goes both ways. Okay. This is exactly the same thing. Okay? So we're going to group our numbers together first. So we're going to be -3 and 4 in parentheses. I wrote a baby for it. -3 and 4 in parentheses. Okay? Yes?
Where'd you get the 4?
3, 4.
Oh.
Now we're going to put our x's in parentheses. x3, x, and then our y's. y2, y5. Okay? So numbers, x's, y's. Now we're going to solve. What is -3 times 4? Okay, we're going to add these. x3, what's this one?
1.
So it's x what?
X1.
Very good. Y, 5 and 2? Yep, we're done. This is the answer. Those are pretty easy, right? Numbers, variables. Group them together. Next one, we have multiple variables going on, but still the same thing. So we're going to take this half, and we're going to take this 6. We're not concerned about the 1, right? Because there's a 1 in front of there, but anything times 1 is what? Itself. So we're not concerned about it. So we're going to take this half in parentheses times 6. And then we're going to group our A's. So we're going to be A3, A2, A3, A2, and then our B's. B1, B2, and then we have 1C, C2. Tracking so far? Okay, I'm going to write this and I'm going to erase it. 1/2 times 6. What do I need to do that 6? What's that? Put a 1 underneath there. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know why I did that. Put a 1, right? Can I reduce these?
Yeah.
2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 3 into 6. How many times?
3.
3 times 1 is what?
3.
What is this simplified?
3.
Yeah. So all this right here is 3, right? 3. That's a fraction times a whole number. Do you have a pass?
No.
I need passes, please. Okay, now we're going to deal with our 3's. A3, A2, A5. Now we're going to do with our B's. B2, 1, B3, and then C2 by itself. We're done with the problem. Yeah. Now it changes when we're trinomials and polynomials and so on. But this right here is monomials. Okay, so that's a monomial, right? There's no addition, subtraction, there's no other terms. Okay? Okay, are we good so far?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't that one just like what we just covered?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go into this one. What's different with this one is that we have a trinomial inside here, right? But we have a constant on the outside of here. So we're going to do distributive property and we're going to multiply these all out. 5 times 2 is what?
10.
10, we leave the x2 alone. Okay? Then 5 times x is what? And 5 times 4 is what? Good. Is this in standard form?
Yes.
x2, x1, constant. Yes, this one's done.
I just the X.
So, we like these because they're easy, right? Look at this one. This one's very similar. I'm going to show you what's going to happen here, okay? We're going to do the same exact thing. We have distributive property on this problem as well. We're going to take this and multiply it by this and by this. We have two terms inside here, okay? You see the plus? So what is this called, by the way? Very good, binomial. Okay, so we're going to write 4a and then in parentheses a2b. Stop. Okay, we're taking this multiplied by this. So now we're going to do it again. This is positive, right? So plus 4a, and we're going to multiply it by everything in here. So 2b2 in parentheses. So isn't this kind of the same? There's just more going on, right? Here we were able to combine these. I could have wrote in this parentheses, but they're fairly easy to solve, right? Now, we need to solve this. Now, when I say solve this, this is one problem, and this is another problem. Don't combine them. Yes? Yes. Okay, so we're 4 times 1, which is what?
4.
Okay. We're a2 and 1, which is what? A3 and only one b, right? So that was all that. That's this times this, a3 and 4a and b. Whoa.
Wouldn't it be 4A?
Yeah, no, I did that.
Yeah, this 4 times A.
I actually didn't do it right. Sorry. 4a, a2, and b by itself. I get confused. But this is 4 and 1. I'm not going to write that because it's 4, right?
You actually get confused.
4a3 and then b by itself. Same thing that we did up here. We put our numbers here and then we put our variables together. So we grouped it. So we're going to do the same thing on this one. Okay? 4 and 2 in parentheses. 4 and 2. There's 1a and there's 2 b's, right? So this becomes 8 a e2. This is done. That's solved. Notice these variables are not the same. Which we can't combine these anyway because they're separate terms. And it ends up being a trinomial. Is there any questions on this one, or do you want to go through this one again? I'll tell you what, why don't we see how long this one is? What is this one right here, by the way? But what is this thing called?
Try.
Is it try or is it something else? It's a little confusing, right? Because of this negative. It's a little confusing because of that negative. Where would I go? Because of that negative 3. Technically, that's an operation. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a polynomial. Yes.
That's why I said try.
Okay. So this one is similar in nature. Same thing. You're going to take the 4a multiplied by this, 4a multiplied by this, 4a multiplied by this, and then separate numbers, separate variables, but you have to treat them separate. We will come and do this one together. Okay. Look at this one right here. E. So it's this times this, okay? But how many terms do we have here? 2. There's one here and there's one there. So we're going to rewrite this. So it's 2x2y, 3x in parentheses. And then plus 2x2y, negative y. Okay? Now, we're grouping this side, we're grouping this side, okay? So we're 2 and 3 in parentheses, 2 and 3 in parentheses, and then we have an x2, x1 in parentheses, and we have a y. Okay? So 2 and 3 in parentheses, x2, x1, 1y. Then we need to do this side. We're 2, what is this one right here? Yep. 2, negative 1, and then x2, and then y, y. 2 y's. See how this is the hardest step, really, at the end of the day? This part's easy. This, we're just adding things together, or multiplying. 2 times 3 is what?
6.
Okay, x what?
3.
Good. Y by itself. We're done with this side. Plus, there's the binomial, the second side of it. Okay, 2, negative 1. This is going to change this plus to a negative 2, right? x2, y2. So not too hard. This step is the most important step. The rest of it's pretty straightforward. And then it's just grouping, which is just like you did adding and subtracting. Are we okay with this one, or do you want to go through this one again? Okay. Okay. Binomials. Believe it or not, you see this problem? This problem is just like these problems here. There's just more going on. All the steps are the same. Okay? If you get this, you pretty much have it. You just have to be very careful with the way you write things out. Okay? So, FOIL. Alright? First, outer, inner, last. That's what it stands for. Okay? And that's how you solve them. So if we're gonna do this by FOIL, we're gonna do our first one. We're gonna do our F, okay? X times X. So write that. X times X. We did the first one. Now we're gonna take that same X and we're gonna multiply it by negative 5. So we're gonna have negative 5X. Is everyone following me? Now we're gonna do the inner ones. So we did the F, we did the first, okay, first term. And then we did the outer term, negative 5. Now we're going to do the inner, 2 and x, which is 2x. And then we're going to do the last, 2 and negative 5, which is what? Negative 10, right? Now I'm going to show you something. It doesn't matter whether a problem's like this or it's like this. These two terms, once we write this out, aren't going to change. These ones are done. What foiling does is these in the middle, we're going to have to combine. The only thing that's different is when you get to trinomials, polynomials, and so on, you're going to have more to simplify in the middle. Okay? And you're just combining like terms. And you'll see that when we get to these. So this one we can simplify, right? We have negative 5 and 2x. What's the answer to that? Negative 3x. Bring down the negative 10. We're done with this problem. By the way, what's cool about polynomials, if we set it up correctly, what is this in? It's in standard form. Yeah. Amazing. Okay. You see this problem? When you see a problem like this, x plus 5 to the power of 2, what is this? What's the answer to this?
6.
Don't you dare. 9. It's 3 times 3. Okay? So this means the same thing. This is going to be x plus 5, x plus 5. Are we clear? Okay. Now, look at this one. Is this one very, very similar to this one? Yeah, it's only off one number, right? Good talk. Okay, so now we're going to FOIL this. X and X, so X and X. Now, I think it's good to write this, but if you want to write X2, that's up to you. And then X times 5 plus 5X, and then X5 plus 5X, and then what's 5 times 5? Okay, notice. Our outside terms are done. We just need to solve these two. So this becomes x2 plus 10x plus 25. Can I give you a little tip? If the problem doesn't come out in standard form, you made a mistake. Okay? It should come out in standard form when it's all said and done. Okay? Okay, now we change something that's going to make a little bit of a difference is when we start to get different variables besides x and y, we need to put them in alpha order. Okay? What does that mean? Very good, just like the alphabet. Grab the piece of paper on the back. You guys want to write these steps out? I need the phone put away, please. Okay, are we good through here so far?
Yeah.
Solid, right? By the way, from here on out, this is what it is. Okay? Obviously here, it's it's kind of already done for us, right? Because we only have two terms. Separate the numbers, separate the variables, add them together, okay? Okay, so now we're going to move to this one, okay? Same thing. We're going to go first term to first term, okay? So we're going to write this out and do our parentheses. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The actual first step isn't the hardest. The actually putting it together, it really isn't that difficult, okay? So we're going to take 3a2, so 3a2, and then we're going to put a2 in parentheses. Does everyone see why? Let me write this out. Because it's our f, right? So now we're going to go to the outer, all right? So we're going to go plus 3a, very good, minus 2b in the parentheses. So now we took care of the outer, right? Rios, you want to write this stuff down? Okay, now we did the outer, right? So now we're going to do the inner. We're going to take negative b, and then in parentheses a2. Right, there's my inner. Negative b and a2. What do I have left? What do I have left? Okay, so I'm going to take negative b, and I'm going to multiply it by negative 2b. So negative b, negative 2b. Now something happens in this one, and I'll show you. Yes, yes. So we have a bunch of parentheses going on, right? So we want to start taking care of it, okay? That's 3 and 1, right? So we can just write this as 3a4. 2 times 2 is 4, right? We're done with this one. Now we're going to go to the next one. Whoever's ringer is on, please turn it off. Now watch this one. Negative 3, negative 2. Which is what? Negative 3, negative 2. It's parentheses. Multiply. Negative 6. Right? And then we have a2 and b. Because that's a number, there's nothing to multiply our variables aren't increased, so we can put it together. Okay? Now, it happened to be that this one was A and B in order, but look at this one. That one's not alpha. That's correct. So, are we good right here so far?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the next one. Now, same thing's going to happen. We're going to take this B and we're going to multiply it by the A. This is a negative times a positive. So it's going to turn negative, and we're going to list it alpha. So it's going to be A2B. Okay? Now, by doing this, by putting it alpha, it's still going to stay in standard form. You want to be writing this out? Okay. Negative times a negative is what? Positive. So this is going to be plus 2b. What's going to go above the b? How many b's are there? 2. Okay, remember what I said about FOIL. Outside and last are solved. Now we just have to simplify. Okay? So that means we have to simplify this and this. Well, we're not worried about these, right? Because they're all the same, right, Crumbs? A2B, A2B. Those are the same, right? Negative 6, negative 1. What is that? Very good. So we're going to write this, 3A4, negative 7A2B, and then plus 2B. We're done. So usually the middle is simplifying. Now, you're going to see when we get here, there's going to be more. There's going to be more in that middle that has to be solved. So I'm not going to have enough room here. I'm going to write this one down here. X plus 2 in parentheses, and then x2 minus 5x plus 4. What's that? If you can fit it in there, I don't know that you can. I mean, you might if you write small enough, but I like to spread it out. This one's about as long as this one, but this one's a little bit longer because there's a number in front of the variable. Okay, so we're still doing FOIL, right? We're solving exactly the same way of what we went through. So the very first thing we're going to do is our x's, right? X and x. So x and then x2. Okay? That's our first term. Now guess what? We have another one, right? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply it by this. Okay? So this is going to be x times negative 5x. Now we're going to do our very last one, which is just 4x, right? So plus 4x. So we took care of the x. We've multiplied the x all the way out. Now we need to multiply the 2. Okay? So over here, 2 and x2. Oh, did I write that? Yeah, I wrote it right. So 2 and x2. So 2. I'm not going to put parentheses here because it's not going to matter, right? Because I'm just going to end up combining when I'm all said and done anyway. If it makes you feel better, you can put it in parentheses. But really, there's no math that needs to be done there. So that was this times this, right? Now we're going to take 2 times negative 5x. So that's going to be negative 10x. Then 2 times 8, 2 times 4 is 8. I do that all the time. I tell you guys the answers. Okay, we're almost to simplifying, but we want to do this distributive property. Okay? So x and 2, x3. Okay? This is x, negative 5x. Can someone tell me what this is?
Negative 5x.
What else?
1, 2.
Good. Okay, 4x all by itself. 2x2 all by itself. Oh, the rest of the problem doesn't change, right? There's no other parentheses. Now, remember what I told you about FOIL? It's everything outer and inner, first and last are correct, everything else simplifying. So let's look at that. 1 term, 2 terms. X's, x's. See what happened? So it's over a binomial. It starts to go a trinomial and polynomial. It just means you have more terms to combine in here. Okay? So now we're going to go ahead and solve this. We have the x3. What's negative 5 plus 2?
Negative 5 is negative 3, x2.
Good. And then we're 4x minus 10x. We're done, right? And guess what? It's in standard form. So we're finished. We know we got this right. Do I need to go through this one again? Do you understand FOIL and what the letters stand for?
Yes.
First, right? Outer, inner, last. And it doesn't matter how many are going in there. If there's more terms, it just means you have more multiplication.
So we do it first, but you do the first 2, and then...
Yeah, so maybe let's write this out just for... We couldn't actually, well, I guess technically we could solve it, but I'm going to do this with variables, okay? That right there, write this down. That's F. That right there is O, okay? First terms. Outer, first term, outer term. Inner, that's I, right there. And the last one, the last term, L. If you remember that, it doesn't matter how complicated the problems are, all the steps are the same. Okay, which one are we on now? Okay, and we did J, right?
Yeah.
Can I erase this one? Or no, I'll wait. I'll write it down here. So 3x minus 4, and then minus 2x3 plus 5x negative 6. Now let me address this for a second. You see this problem right here? Isn't that very, very similar to this problem right here? Just the numbers are a little bit different, right? All the steps are the same. And then this one is very similar to this problem right here. Okay? All right, let's start to do this one. So FOIL, we're doing the same thing. We just have more terms going on. So we're going to take 3x times negative 2x3 in parentheses. That's this one right here. Now we're going to do the next one. This is 3x times 5x. Yes. And then 3x times negative 6. What's that? And that's this one, right? Okay, now we can start to work on the inner. So we're going to multiply this by this, and we're going to write this out again. So we're -4, -2x3, parentheses. And then